Coming up, the United States prepares for a transition of power.
And later, the Iowa Board of Regents convene for a new session.
Sedina for Iowa and UCLA.
How is your weekend forecast going to look? I'll have your update in weather.
Good morning from Iowa City. It is Friday, November 8th. I'm Jace Bertrand.
And I'm Liz Schultz.
And the third member of our team, Elizabeth Smith, is live outside to tell us today's weather story.
I am currently live at Hubbard Park, where it is a crisp 41 degrees outside. The temperature looks like it could rise into the upper 50s today, but may drop back down to 38 degrees by nightfall. Iowa City will have a partly cloudy sky throughout the day, and this may be the last bit of sunshine before a rainy weekend. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow, the temperatures may reach a high of 53 degrees with a low of 43 degrees. Rain is expected around 3 p.m. Later, I'll let you know your forecast for the upcoming week.
As of this morning, 2 states have not been called in this year's presidential election. While former President Donald Trump has already surpassed the 270 electoral votes to become president-elect and the first convicted criminal to be president, Arizona and Nevada have not yet been called. Trump clearly leads in both states, and the two would add to 17 electoral votes for Trump. There are other implications with the states yet to be called. 4 House of Representatives seats are too close to call right now in Arizona. This is vital to both Republicans and Democrats who are trying to take control of the House of Representatives. Both also have a Senate seat, each still to be settled.
After Donald Trump became president-elect, both the president and vice president have conceded the results of the election. DITV's news director, Johnny Valtman, has what's next for the current administration.
After losing the presidential election to Donald Trump Tuesday night, Vice President Kamala Harris waited until Wednesday afternoon to address supporters at her alma mater, Howard University in Washington, D.C. Harris thanked her supporters and encouraged them to keep fighting for what they believe in.
Hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
President Joe Biden also spoke on the election at a press conference Thursday. There, he accepted the results of this year's election.
Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other. We accept the choice the country made.
Both Harris and Biden reached out to congratulate Trump on his victory. With the last transfer of power resulting in an attempted insurrection at the Capitol, Harris is making sure that this time it will be different.
I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
With 73 days left until the January 20th, 2025 inauguration, the sitting administration is already beginning to prepare for the transfer of power. From the University of Iowa, Johnny Valtman, DITV.
Exit polls from the 2024 presidential election are revealing more about how the race was decided. According to NBC News' exit poll, 45% of voters said they were worse off financially now than they were 4 years ago. Almost 75% of voters said they were unhappy with the way things were in the country, and 29% said they were angry. Among voters who were dissatisfied with both candidates, 55% supported Trump compared to just 32% for Harris. And potentially most critical to the Trump campaign's victory, among first-time voters, Trump won that demographic 54-45, after Biden dominated that category 64-32 in 2020. And 3 out of 4 U.S. House of Representatives spots in Iowa have been won, but Iowa's District 1 still does not have a winner.
DITV's Felicity Menning is live in the newsroom with an update on the results.
Thanks, guys. The Iowa District 1 results have not been called yet. Currently, Marionette Miller Meeks is winning, but only with the 0.1% difference. As of last night, Miller Meeks had 206,670 votes, and Christina Bohannon had 205,873. That's only a 797 difference in votes. Because the race is this close, a recount is likely to occur. Miller Meeks already declared her victory at her watch party at Riverside Casino in eastern Iowa, despite the results not being called. The results are not expected anytime soon. This would be Miller Meek's third term in the House of Representatives. This election was a rematch between Miller Meeks and Bohannon. They competed against each other in 2022, with Miller Meeks taking the seat. Back to you guys in the studio.
District 1's race is critical for both Republicans and Democrats as the race to control the House of Representatives is on. As we sit right now, Republicans lead Democrats in House seats 211 to 199. Republicans have been able to flip one Michigan district and 2 Pennsylvania seats. The number to hit for both parties is 218 to gain a majority, and there are still 28 races to be called. If Republicans win the House, all 3 branches of government would be unified under the Republican Party, the first time since George W. Bush back from 2005 to 2007.
While national spots for the United States and Senate and House of Representatives were up for grab Tuesday, so was the state seats in Iowa's House and Senate. Iowa Republicans will remain control of both the Iowa House of Representatives, and Senate Republicans were able to gain 3 seats in the House and 1 in the Senate. As it sits, Republicans hold the majority of the Senate, 35 to 15, and the House, 67 to 33. And now we're going to send it out to DITV's Grace Lathrops for updates on the ban of Kratom.
Thanks, guys. That's right. I'm outside of City Hall right now where the discussion of banning Kratom, a dangerous drug often associated with self-treating anxiety, depression, and pain, has been an ongoing conversation in the state of Iowa. However, the ban has been indefinitely deferred by the Iowa City Council this past week after months of discussion. Some council members have been against the ban, saying that it would help opioid addicts wane off of the drug in a more promising way. However, those for the ban say that the unregulated nature of the drug is extremely dangerous. Kratom has similar effects of opioids, and it is not approved under the Drug and Enforcement Administration for medical use. The Iowa City Council has been split on this issue for the last 2 votes. However, at last Tuesday's meeting, the City Council had a 6-1 vote to defer the issue indefinitely. The proposed ban is now on hold, and the City Council plans on asking for state action. City Council members do not specify if or when the ban would be reconsidered, and for now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
The Board of Regents met November 6th and 7th to discuss detailed agenda at the University of Northern Iowa. The annual fall enrollment report revealed that there was a 1.8% increase from fall of 2023. The board was also given economic development and technology transfer reports, with the results showing Regents institutions having a positive impact on Iowa businesses. The termination of University of Iowa's PhD program and second language acquisition was approved by the Academic Affairs Committee. Additionally, the Property and Facilities Committee approved several projects the University of Iowa proposed. This includes the university's purchase of the Old Capitol Mall. Agreements were also made for 2 university healthcare projects and refurbishment of the art building. The committee recommended the authorization for University of Iowa's healthcare to transfer $25 million into the health systems.
And coming up later, every caffeinated drink has their day.
And a look at Hawkeye sports, including game day weather.
All that and more after the break.
This week on Before the Kickoff, we're going to recap Iowa's game against Wisconsin, and we'll see if there's any history between Iowa and UCLA.
We'll also compare these 2 rosters and give our predictions for the game.
And this week, the stakes are raised. Before the Kickoff goes live at 9:30 on Friday mornings on the Daily Iowans YouTube page.
Thank you for watching on thedailyiowan.com or listening on KRUI 89.7 FM.
Now let's take a look back outside with Elizabeth for the forecast for the week ahead.
While Hawkeyes travel to the West Coast this weekend, some fans are still making the long trip to see the game in person. For those hitting the tailgates with the setting California sun, it should be clear and 65 degrees. At kickoff, it will be 57 degrees under the lights of the Rose Bowl. By the time the game wraps up, the temperatures will have barely dipped to 54 degrees with still not a cloud in the sky. While the Rose Bowl is iconic in its own right, Kinnick Game Day will be missed this weekend. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And I just got back from Nevada for the election, and I can personally say I know our Hawkeyes are going to be enjoying the West Coast weather rather than right here.
I certainly would be. Gosh, it's getting cold out there.
But for now, we're going to send it to Brady Behrens, who has more on the sports for the weekend ahead.
Thanks, guys. And the Hawkeye football team's heading out to UCLA this weekend, but following them to California is DITV Sports Director AJ Reister, who's live in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Brady, I'm here live at the Rose Bowl where the Hawkeyes will battle the Bruins tonight in this historic stadium where they haven't always had the most success. These two teams have only played each other 8 times, with the last matchup being in 1986 right here in Pasadena. Iowa would go on to lose 45-28, but despite the unfamiliarity, the Hawks aren't in the business of making excuses.
We can make an excuse about, going to the West Coast, time change, playing on a Friday, but at the same time, we just got to play football, and they got to play the same game we do. We got to prepare the same.
Kickoff is set for 8 p.m. Central Time on NBC, and I'll have all the coverage from tonight's game on the Daily Iowan website and YouTube page. Back to you in the studio, Brady.
With college basketball back in full swing, the Iowa women's basketball team opened their season in Carver Hawkeye Arena Wednesday night. DITV's Elise Gann and Joel Keller got the first glance of how the Hawkeyes' highly anticipated season will look.
After last year's stellar season, the night all Iowa fans have been waiting for finally came around as the Iowa women's basketball team held their season opener against the NIU Huskies. With the loss of last year's All-Stars, it was a toss-up as to how successful this year's Iowa team would be, and things didn't start out too hopeful in the first quarter. Having to adjust to new chemistry on the court was a struggle for the Hawks as they went 9 for 31 with 5 turnovers only in the first 15 minutes of the game.
Obviously, it's our first game, to get some nerves out of the way, and that's kind of just how the basketball season goes. There's going to be ups and downs, and I think the key is just to be consistent throughout those quarters.
But as things continued, things started to look up for the Hawkeyes as they finally found their stride. Redshirt senior Kylie Feuerbach was on fire throughout all 4 quarters, nearly reaching a double-double in her first game of the season with 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. Feuerbach wasn't the only one chasing the high, but so was Villanova transfer Lucy Olson. In her first game as a Hawkeye, the senior guard racked up 19 points with 7 assists and 4 rebounds, making her mark as early as possible and guiding the newer team throughout all 60 minutes.
Start, the Hawkeyes still managed to get their first win of the season.
And not only was it their first win, but it was the first win of the Jan Jensen era.
It was fun. The players had little celebrations in the locker room, which was really cute of them. So it feels really good to get it. And now I'm glad that we got it, and now we can hopefully really roll.
The Hawkeyes won this game with some defense as they had 13 steals to go along with 7 blocks, including 3 blocks from Taylor Strimlow off the bench. However, it wasn't all perfect defense for the Hawkeyes as they allowed the Huskies to shoot 49% from the field and 36.2% from the three-point line.
It was that mixed bag of consistency. I liked the hands we got on things, but I didn't like our help side positioning. And then we would be too helpful when we didn't need it on a drive, and you'd let a wide open Sid McRae.
Jensen led the team through some adversity in the first quarter, and the Hawkeyes ended up with a comfortable victory.
That's right, Joel, and the Hawkeyes will look to continue that streak in Game 2 against Virginia Tech. From Carver Hawkeye Arena, I'm Elise Gann.
I'm Joel Keller, DITV Sports.
And the men's basketball team also got in on the fun this week due to the help of a dynamic duo of brothers. DITV's Draven Murdy and Tara Gillespie show how the Iowa men's team swept the Southern University Jaguars last night.
Thursday marked the start of a new Iowa basketball season, where the Hawkeyes played host to the Southern University Jaguars. In the first game of the new campaign, sophomore big man Owen Freeman dropped 15 points with 8 boards to make his presence known. The Hawkeyes also got some help from a few of their veterans, like transfer guard Drew Thelwell, who dropped 12 points to help the Hawkeyes capture an 89-74 point win in their first game of the new campaign. Tara, tonight Iowa basketball made 18 three-pointers, 2 shy of their program record.
Yeah, that's right, Travis, and 10 of which were scored by the Sanford brothers.
It feels really good. I've pictured these moments in my head, all throughout last year and in the off season. So, now that it's here, it feels really good that all that hard work paid off.
6 three-pointers for Price Sanford was followed by 4 three-pointers from his older brother Peyton to give the Hawkeyes the momentum they needed to beat the Southern Jaguars.
Obviously I'm not trying to force, still get good shots, but every time it was, I was going up in that zone, it felt like it was going in.
Price Sanford was on the scouting team last year, but this year is one of the Hawkeyes' most powerful tool on offense. His teammates and coaches have anticipated his stand-up performance from the start.
He's been playing like that. He really has been since the summer.
I kind of got to see it all last year. He helped us with scout, so he kind of killed us when he was on scout team too. So I got to see it. I've been seeing it for a while.
And even though Price outnumbered Peyton tonight, he doesn't want to give him too much grief about those 6 extra points.
I don't think I can do that. He's had too many games like that, and double-doubles every night, so I don't think I can give him too much grief about that.
Price Sanford has always been that great defender since high school, but today he took his offense to a new level.
And he and the Hawkeyes will look to keep that going on Tuesday against South Dakota. From Carver Hawkeye Arena, Draven Murdy,
Tara Gillespie,
DITV Sports.
After closing out their regular season last Friday, the 16th ranked field hockey team headed to Maryland to compete in the Big Ten tournament. Following a winning season, the hopes of a strong playoff run ended for the Hawkeyes as they fell to 5th-ranked Maryland 0-1 in a dramatic shootout yesterday afternoon. For one last hurrah, the team will compete in the NCAA tournament next week. And while the football team is out in LA, they're here in Iowa City. A new kid captain, Colin Carruthers, talked to the Week 11 family about how they pushed through a battle for survival.
It just seemed like every day there was something different that was happening that you felt so hopeless as a mom.
Natalie Mogul is now 9 years old, but her first 4 months in the world was a battle of a lifetime.
Natalie was a 25-week preemie, so she was 15 weeks early. She came out not breathing, and they intubated her and immediately took her away to the NICU. I was very shocked at how small she was, how thin her skin was. You could see her veins. I couldn't hold her. She was born with essentially a little hole in her heart. Her D-dimer showed that she was at extreme, massive risk for blood clots.
With all of this, among other issues that came up throughout different periods of her life, it was Natalie's tenacity that got her and her family through all their hardships.
If something knocks her down, she doesn't just give up. She's not going to give up until she gets it.
Natalie is currently doing well and is still seen at the said Family Children's Hospital as needed. Despite all the suffering Natalie was put through, she's extremely energetic and athletic, playing golf, softball, and volleyball, as well as dance, and Mom Kelsey Mogul wouldn't change a thing.
As a mom, knowing that that's what made my child the way that she is today, this independent, strong, sassy, smart, all of these things, and I credit a lot of it back to how she was, born.
All of what makes Natalie has allowed her to make some pretty sweet connections with the Iowa football team, including a special shout out for her favorite player, Mason Richmond.
He's the one that she walked out with. Do I get to see Mason? Can I talk to Mason? Can I see Mason? He's on the TV. Oh my gosh, let's see Mason. He's my best friend. I want to say hi. I want to see him. She drew him a picture. All these things.
Natalie has been amazed with the experience of being a kid captain of the Iowa Hawkeyes, and her spirit continues to inspire many. From the University of Iowa, Colin Carruthers, DITV Sports.
One of the most emotional kid captain stories so far this year, but for the rest of weather, let's go to Elizabeth Smith.
Now let's take a look at the upcoming forecast for this week. Closing out the game day weekend, we are expected to sit in the mid-50s the entire time, with lows expected to be in the mid-40s. Lots of clouds are expected on Sunday, but the following days are predicted to bring a bit of sunshine back to Iowa City. Starting off the new week, temperatures may rise to those high 50s and lower back down to the 40s and upper 30s by nightfall. It looks like mostly sunny skies on Monday and Tuesday, so Iowa City may want to try and make the most out of fall's last sunny days. The back half of the week may bring showers on Wednesday with a high of 52 degrees predicted. Iowa City is predicted to close out the week with temperatures in the low 50s. Now let's check in with Jace and Liz back in the studio.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And yeah, we had a big week in DITV. We had an election show. We're running off 2 big shows. So thank you guys for tuning in live on thedailyiowan.com or listening on KRUI 89.7 FM.